Hey, how you doing today? I want to review this Luverne 7-inch by 54-inch running board that I bought, and I want to take you through the good, the bad, the ugly. So number one, finished product, good, right? So when I step up into this thing, being in the 65 approximately crowd, you can see it's really stable. So for me and my wife, this is big, right? I mean, you think about it, it doesn't look like much of a step, but whatever. That's what happens when you get old. Hey, I'm still a pretty tough dude though, because I'm from the 313, baby, Detroit. So here's the step is stable, so I was happy with that. It's got these great grips on it, right? So you can kind of see the grippy, clean your boots off. You're not going to slip on this thing for sure. I don't, barefoot, I don't know about all that. I haven't tried to go up and down this barefoot. But I want to show you 3 issues I found with the install. Issue number 1, the instructions they give you is 1 sheet of paper. And if you're a mechanical engineer and you can read exploded drawings, it's fantastic. If you're like me, you're not a mechanical engineer, you can't read exploded drawings, it's kind of tough. So that's the first issue I had with it. The instructions are not very clear. The second issue I had, I bought this step because of the Luverne videos of the installation. Well, they changed all the mounting hardware from what they have on their videos. And the mounting hardware change, I'm not a big fan of. Did it work? Yes, it works. But I think what they had before was better. I'm not saying don't buy the step. I just want you to know the installation issues that I faced because there was no videos outside of the Big Red Van video, which is a fantastic series of do-it-yourself videos, right? He had some good hints on that. So installation hardware changed from all their videos. So my first mistake, if you look at the installation, I'm going to walk you down. They want you to put this support in first. They want you to put the end one in second and the middle one in last, right? So what they tell you is to take this support bracket, right? You take this support bracket and you can see they've got their brace right here, and you're gonna have drilling through this pinch weld, right? So what they tell you is to line this thing up in the back of the van, mark your holes, and drill through. Well, that's all fine and dandy, except for the fact on a Promaster, this pinch weld here, the height of this pinch weld is shorter than it is on the inside. The pinch weld is higher on the inside. So when you take this mounting bracket, you can see the black metal mounting bracket, which marries with this support brace, and you hold it up to the pinch weld. I'm thinking, well, I want this bracket, butted up as high as I can against the pinch weld, right? Because that, you don't want to have the holes near the bottom. Well, guess what? That doesn't work, because you can see my 2 mistakes right here. When I did that, you can see I filled it with some Sikaflex. The holes, when I went to put this mounting bracket in, right, you couldn't line it up because this is shorter than the rear, right? So that was bad. So the way you do it is you want to figure out where you want to put your first bracket. Use this little support bracket, line it up, mark your holes, and drill, and that will work. So I just put a pilot hole here, I put a pilot hole here, then I made sure I was good on the pilot holes, right? And then I drilled out the big holes, which are, I think they're 11/32. So you have to use a cobalt bit to drill these things out, right? So 11/32, I didn't have that in my kit, so I had to go buy it, right? So that was mistake number 1. Now, I'm going to show you on the rear, right? The mounting is identical back here. So on the rear, you can see, every time you do something, you get better, right? So, I used this thing, I marked it, pre-drilled, with like, I think a 1/4 inch, something small, and then I used the 11/32 to follow it through. This came out really well. So that was issue number 1. Issue number 2, like I said, is they changed this mounting hardware. So I bought this because I like the Luverne mounting system. So I'm going to show you what changed. So we're going to go underneath the van. I'm going to slide you underneath the van. I'm going to bring you back here. Okay, now I got to scooch in a little bit so you can kind of see the system right here. So this is the pinch weld right here. You can see this pinch weld. This is taller than the other pinch weld. This wall is taller right here. So if you line up the bracket, like you can see the bracket right here, if you line this up and you push this right up against the top, there's actually a little air gap in here now. You're not gonna fit, right? So that's why I said reverse it, start on the outside. So if the other thing they did was, you can see once you mount to the pinch weld, then you have these two screws right here that you've got to drill 1/4 inches up through here. And these are like just big giant sheet metal screws. Man, these things really torque in. You go really slow on these, right? And don't over torque them, right? So you go really slow when you turn these in. It takes a lot of torque. Their other system that I saw online is what they advertised. You see this little rubber plug here. They had a system where you put in like a little piece of metal here that actually had a receiver that you could put a regular type of it was almost like a nut was sitting in there, and then you could just screw the bolt in, right? And that it would trap it up against there. That's why I bought this. Guy said, man, I don't have to drill any more holes. But guess what? If you do it right, you got to drill 12 holes. If you do it wrong, like Harold, I drilled 16 that I had to seal up. Okay, so that was one issue with the mounting. I'm going to show you the middle bracket. It's a little bit different animal, so we're going to go outside the van, and I'm going to show you the middle bracket, right? Because this didn't work out perfect, right, either. So the middle bracket's a little bit different. You can see this bracket down here has this kind of like a stainless steel support. The middle bracket actually has kind of a U-shaped deal, right? So that one, it works a lot differently, right? So you've got the U-shaped bracket, and then you mount the U-shaped bracket, and then once the U-shaped bracket is mounted, you've got the steel plate behind this, right? And it grabs this whole assembly, right? So that's how this system works. It's a little bit different animal, right? So that worked out pretty good. No problems with that, but it's just a different animal. It still costs you drilling 12 holes, but that's not so bad. Now, the final mistake I made, and hopefully you've made it through 7 minutes of video, right, is this thing is 54 inches long, right? Now, what I messed up on, which actually turned out to my favor, was this has an end cap on it. This has an end cap on it down here that eats up about 2 inches. So when I laid this thing out, I said, okay, I've got enough room to mount this thing. Well, I really didn't have enough room to mount it, right? So up front here, you can see that I am sitting on top of the end cap, right? And I'm also sitting on a couple washers. I'm going to tell you why that is so. So if you go down here, you can see my mount is metal to metal here, right? There's like this retaining bracket. You can see the retaining bracket's like right here. You mount it with the bubble side up. You get a couple carriage bolts. You drop them in. You screw it in. It works really good. Now, the problem with the Promaster is the pinch weld. The pinch weld here runs downhill. So if I back up and you look at my system, it actually looks pretty level, right? So if you compare the door to the step, it looks pretty level, right? There's a slight run from the back of the van to the top. There's ever slight chance of slope. So the Big Red Van Man said, right, to use some washers up here, right? So if you look at my system here, what I ended up with, I ended up using a couple, let me get where you can see them. I ended up using a couple washers. So you can see I've got some big washers in there, right? I'm zoomed in way too much. Let me zoom out. You can see I've got some big washers in there right here. And then I've got a little washer, right? And I had to go buy a couple more carriage bolts. I wanted 1.5 inch. I ended up with 2 inches because that's all the store had. So with those two washers in there, plus the fact that I'm sitting on top of this this end cap, it raised it quite a bit. I mean, it probably raised it that much. So I don't get as big as a run if you kind of look at it front to back. So I was actually kind of happy with that, right? I mean, you know, that was my story, so hopefully it works out for you. So again, I would recommend the Luverne. You know, I would recommend it. It's a nice solid step. Just be careful with drilling those holes through the pinch weld, and you're going to have good success. So have a fantastic day, and Jesus bless you in every way.